Howdy, folks. Welcome back to my top 100 games of all time. Today we're going to look at the bottom part of the the top part of the bottom part of my list. We're going 60 to 51. And after that...
What just happened?
I don't know. Just go with it. More games. We shall continue. Let us begin. So, my number 60... Make sure I got this all correct. Okay. And I hide these, by the way. I hide these from Hunter so that he is surprised along with you. See previous videos to see his reactions. They're rather amusing. All right. My number 60. 5 Tribes. I'm sure that ranked roughly somewhere thereabouts on your list too, right?
I got 100 down, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah. This game is really more on the unique side, I think, for a lot of the games that we have, because what you're doing is it's Mancala sort of action. Depending on the number of little meeples you have in that position, you pick them up and then you place one as you're going, and wherever your destination happens to be, that's where the action is that you get to take. And depending on the colored meeples that you have, there's certain actions you get to do and things of that nature. So it's very interesting. It's a game that, surprisingly, I thought would lend itself to like analysis paralysis or AP, to where we wouldn't enjoy this game, but we actually don't seem to have that problem and really enjoyed playing it without sitting there and waiting too long for your turns. Now, towards the very end of the game, sometimes we stall out a little bit trying to maximize the victory points and stuff, but overall this has been a lot of fun, and this is a really fun game for us to play 2-player. We really enjoy that, so this is one of our go-tos for a 2-player game.
Yeah, it really can. If you have a game group who really likes to find the most optimal move...
Yeah, this is not a good game for
This
that.
is not your game. But if you kind of go, oh, I think I might want to try this, and you just kind of give a quick glance and pick a move, it's a really fun game. You have to I think you have to kind of go in it kind of, I guess, breezy, is that the word I'm looking for?
I think so.
Just kind of look at it, oh, that looks good, and go for it.
Yeah, because if you spend too much time trying to map out the most, the optimal position and this and that, especially at the beginning of the game where there's probably 50 good places for you to go, oh my gosh, it will take forever. But, again, with that in mind, knowing that, it's a fantastic game, and it's really fun. And I really like the special abilities that you can acquire, and it just kind of keeps building on itself as you kind of build up your little victory points engine.
Yep.
So
it's a good one. Yep. My number, you were right, it was my number 54.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, you like it about the same as I do. That's interesting. Okay. My number 59... I suspect I like more than Hunter does. And normally he's the person that likes the dexterity games, but I love Flick 'em Up. And I haven't tried the other one. We have the wooden set, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I think there's a cardboard or plastic
There's a plastic one, I think.
I can't imagine. I gotta be honest. The wooden set is absolutely amazing. I'm sure the price point's much higher, though, than the plastic, but... It is such a little blast. You get to set up your little people, and it's an Old West theme, so you have little cacti and saloon building and the bank and this and that, and you're duking it out, and you actually flick little bullets at the other players. It's hysterical. It's a lot of fun. Everybody's either got incredibly lucky shots or just bouncing them off of crazy things or shooting hay bales or craziness ensues. It's always been a good time to play it. I really love this game, and if you like dexterity games, definitely check out Flick 'em Up. I know they also have expansions and things to spice up this game, which we haven't even hardly touched, all of the different varieties and scenarios that they have included in the base game. So if that gives you any indication how much is there, there's plenty for everybody. So, did you have Flick 'em Up on yours?
I don't think so. I'm double checking, but yeah, this one isn't one of my favorites. This is just my personal opinion. I mean, I think it's a really good game. It's just the flicking method doesn't work for me, because the way the rules state, you can't brace your finger against your thumb to flick. You have to kind of just do this and this.
You're a flicker with
this motion does not work for me. So I either flick it off the table or I flick it like
half an inch.
Yeah, and I
tend to flick the way that they tell you to in the game.
She flicks this way even when not in games where you can flick normally.
Yeah,
so.
that's the way I flick.
Yeah,
because I flick way too hard doing that. So
yeah, this one I like the concept. I like the design. I don't like necessarily how it plays. And our youngest gets really frustrated with this game.
Yeah, but
too.
she's still perfectionist at that, And I think like something like Pitch Car, where it's most of the time is forced to stay on the track, it doesn't seem to fluster her as much as this, where there's a lot more precision shooting in this. Yeah. So the younger ones that get flustered aren't as likely to enjoy this one as much. But I love the scenarios. They have setups and stuff with good versus evil and bank robbers versus the law, and it's just a really cute setup. So I enjoy Flick 'em Up.
Yeah.
Not 59.
It's an okay game.
Oh, huh. Interesting.
I'm just double checking, making sure it's not on my list. I'm almost certain it isn't, but I don't see it anywhere.
Probably not, because it's a lighter game too. You tend to like heavier games now, and again, you have flicking handicap in this game.
Yes.
So,
yes.
My number 58 is a game day favorite for our group. We always have a hit with Dixit. And Dixit just it's a great game too, because it is not language specific. It's all pictures. So anybody can play this game. And what you could do is everyone gets dealt a deck of really trippy looking cards, but you have to say a phrase, a single word, or you can tell a whole story. And the object of the game is to get at least one person to guess the correct card, because everyone's going to put a card that they think will match that scenario or word. But you don't want everyone to guess it, because if everyone guesses it, then you don't get points, they do. So there's kind of this weird balance if you want some people or maybe just one person to get it and then everyone else not to get it. So you're often telling weird stories, that are very obscure, hoping that only one of your friends might remember this or that, or there's something that's only about one little tiny detail on the card because that one person will probably be looking for it. There's a lot of fun with that. And we've played it quite a bit. We got one of the expansions. It's just a whole bunch more cards to add variety to it. And I think they've got, 2?
Oh, they got a lot of expansions.
They have a lot now? Okay, I kind of, not surprised. But if you play this a lot, you can keep getting more cards to kind of mix it up, because after a while, I've noticed that when we've played it, there's a couple of cards in here now. Every time we see it, we always think of a specific story because it just had that funny background behind it. And so this one is really fun. This is a great family game, and gamer game too, and that's Dixit.
Yeah, that one's a kind of easygoing. You can pull this out with non-gamers, and they can grasp it, and it's just very casual, very light. Don't need to know a lot of rules. I mean, you can explain the game in like a minute. I mean, it's a great one.
Yep.
Not great enough to make my list.
Wow, I see how you are. And that's why everyone's watching my list right now. So mine's infinitely more interesting.
Infinitely more interesting.
Infinitely.
Wow.
Yeah. That'll teach you to sit here.
Huh. Yeah, don't even watch my list. This one's infinitely more interesting.
All right. My number 57 has dropped quite a bit, and I suspect it will probably continue to drop just because it doesn't hit the table nearly as much anymore. And that is Seven Wonders. And honestly, I love Civilization games, and I like the fact that this is a light Civilization game, and it's card-based, which I absolutely love. But it says you can play 2-player, but really to play this, you need 3-player, because otherwise you have a very strange 2-player variant that we don't enjoy playing. So then we don't play it. We don't play this game unless we have 3 or more people, and given a lot of the games that have come out in the last year in particular, for the amount of time that this one takes versus some of the other ones, this one just doesn't hit the table as much, which is kind of sad to me because I really do love this game. And it's a good game. Obviously, because it's still on my list. And it's in the 50s. So that tells you it's a good game. I'm not saying this is a bad game at all. Any one of my games is awesome to play and really fun. But it's just, in the grand scheme of things, unfortunately, it's slowly gone down kind of by the wayside because we tend to either play with a big group now or just the 2 of us. There seems to be not as much in between. Right. So it's really hard to get this one at a table.
Yeah, this is the type of game that if someone says, hey, let's play Seven Wonders, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I would never suggest playing it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, because it's just how that game's turned out for us now. And I would never turn down a game of playing this if I got the chance, because I do enjoy it that much. And it's really fun because I like the interaction between your neighbors in this game too, because you've got your resources, but you can get resources from your neighbors too. So sometimes when you're collecting them, part of your strategy might be, well, you know what? I know that he's collecting a lot of stone, so maybe I'll spend my time collecting something else, and then I'll just use his resource. So it's really fun to kind of make a balance for you between what you and your neighbors are doing, but they also, of course, are probably aware of what you're doing too, and may do things to make it more difficult for you. So it's really, I love the balance with that. I love what you can do with it.
Yep.
So, anyway, check it out. Seven Wonders. I think it's a classic game. It lasted a long time. It's really popular. All right, so that was my 57. We're down to my 56. This is another newer game for us. And that is America, or as we call it, Merca. But yeah, this is... I've grown up playing Trivial Pursuit and all of those, and this is for us a tricked up Trivial Pursuit game that we can play with anybody, which we really enjoy. It's got a lot of Americana and generic trivia questions, but the beauty of it is you don't necessarily need to know the exact answer. You just need to have a guess, and you're kind of betting on who may make the best guess or may possibly know the answer, and then you want to place next to them, because if you get the right answer or you get next to the right answer, you still get points. So it's kind of a fun little interaction. It's still a trivia game at its heart, so if you don't like trivia games, you probably won't enjoy this, but we have a blast with this. This is a great one for us for smack talk and banter, and yeah, I don't think you've got it, because you can also put a no confidence vote on there. You think everybody screwed it up, then you might get points if they did all screw it up. So we have a lot of fun with that one, and it goes pretty quickly. I think, it says 45 minutes on here. So check out America. It's a really fun game.
Yeah, it's a good one. We have a live play of this one.
Oh, yes, we do. That was fun.
This one's just off my list. I like Fauna better, and that one is on my list. So
yeah.
There.
Yeah, they have a whole line. Bezier has a whole line of games that are of similar ilk, and I love them. So you might see some more in the future. Just saying. The next one... is my 55. My number 55 is the Dice Masters D&D set, which is Faerun, Battle for Faerun and Faerun Under Siege. And this is my favorite, I think, of all the Dice Masters. I'm pretty sure. I have to triple check that, but I think that is the case. Typically, as you've probably seen, I'm not a huge fan of straight dice games, but these are a blast. You get to select your characters and make your own combinations to form your own army. Then you're going to attack the opposing army. And we just enjoy the combinations and the different things you can do. Every game is going to be different because you're going to pick different creatures. We like how they combined the abilities with the creatures. It kind of reminds you of the characters that you did have in D&D. They made them really similar, like the abilities matched up with what you remember if you've played it. And the dice, they're really fun. They're all unique. They're brightly colored, and they all have different little emblems on them. It just makes it a lot of fun to play. And it's also pretty quick to throw down once you get used to it. Setting it up the first few times when you're not used to it can take a while because you're reading all of the cards and the abilities and trying to make decisions. But once you've played it a few times, you can say, okay, I know I like these, and pick this and that, and we throw down a game and off you go. Yep. So that's a good one. I really like that one. It's my number 39. It used to be way up the list, but it's kind of dropped for a variety of reasons. We really just don't play it too much anymore. Yeah. And there's just games that I prefer over this one. I mean, it's like you said, for the amount of game you get, the setup can be a little... It can be a little daunting. It's better now that we have it all organized. Well, we have it organized in binders. The cards are in binders, and the dice are all in one place, and it's a little quicker to set up. But again, it's unless you're going to play 4 or 5 games of it, it's really, in my opinion, not worth. It's a lot of setup. Setting it up. Right? So that's what we do. We usually set it up and then play 4 or 5 games to do that. So Favorite Under Siege. Good one. D&D Dice Masters for 55. All right. My number 54 goes the opposite direction, and this is a heavy hitter. And this is a new one for us as well. In fact, I think this Now, this wasn't an impulse buy, but you had been kind of waffling on it for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But this beast, if you can still see me beyond it, is the Gallerist. And this is one of the heaviest games I think we own. Exactly. Can you see this? It's a neat Euro game, though. What you're doing is you've got art, and you're trying to get collectors to buy it, and you're trying to get artists to produce art, and you're trying to set up your museum, and the balance therein. And there's quite a bit involved with that. And I was honestly surprised by how much I liked it, because I thought, to me, the theme I was kind of thinking sounded a little bit on the dry side. And when we first were looking at it, I was waffling too, and I know when you were researching it, you weren't sure at first. So it took us a while to buy this one. But if you like Euros, I think you'd like this one a lot, because it has a lot to it. It's really involved. And with the setup, it can be a little bit different, because I think, is it random? I'm trying to remember.
There's a lot of randomness to the setup, yes.
To the setup, yeah. So it's different every game. And I really... For a heavy Euro, this is fantastic. And the theme is not as dry as you think it is, because, boy, you really have to focus on keeping that balance and getting people into your museum and make sure you have people there when you're putting the art in, and it's really fun. So check out the Gallerist.
Yeah, the Gallerist, it's definitely on the heavier side, but it plays well, too, and it's not... For a super heavy Euro, it's not that long of a game.
That's true.
I think a full 4-player game is about less than 2 hours, which is short for a real heavy Euro. For a 2-player, you probably can do it in like maybe a little over an hour once you get it set up.
Once you get get used to the rules. I think our first game was a lot longer.
It's definitely a pretty daunting game to learn. This isn't one you want to jump in as one of your first Euros. This is one where you understand all the Euro mechanisms, and you kind of have a good knowledge of how those games play before you jump up to this one. And this one we purchased after I made my list, so I'm kind of trying to figure out about where it would land. It looks like it would land around the 25-ish level.
That's interesting.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That's a fun one.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. So, the Gallerist, a beast of a game. Yep. All right, so that's my 54, and now my 53, we already sort of casually mentioned on the side. In the line of Bezier games, my favorito also happens to be Fauna. I like it a little bit better than America, as you can see. This one I like best because the girls can get in on this game. It's about animals, and so you're guessing where the animal lives, maybe how much it weighs or how long it is, things of that nature, or how long its tail may be, and everyone's placing bets on that. So even if they haven't a clue, the kids have a blast. Everybody's learning something every time. We always learn something about some weird little animal that we thought we knew maybe where it lived. And there's also different levels of ability. They've got an easy side and then a challenging side that has tougher, more obscure animals that you can do. So it's really fun. The map's really pretty. I like this map the best over, say, Terra, because we end up having some kind of arguments about where the boundaries are in Terra. It seems a little less clear. Yeah, it's more unclear.
The ocean, there's a lot, because it's Terra, there's a lot of oceanic choices, where Fauna, there's not as many. Yeah. And so they have very, very weird borders all over the oceans that doesn't make it like, okay, does this one border this one, or does it not border this one? The map isn't as clear. You're definitely right about that.
Yeah, and this one, it's clear on here. We don't have any problems telling where everything's connected and what's touching what. And again, since the kids can play this, we've had fun playing this with gamers, non-gamers. Doesn't matter. Kids, adults. It's a good one. So check out Fauna. A good learning game and fun game.
Yep, that's my number 88.
Nice.
88 for me.
Yep, good stuff. So now we're down to my 52, and this is one of Hunter's and my go-to games if we're just doing a little light throwdown 2-player, and that is Biblios. One of its selling points for me is the absolutely adorable packaging, because they set it up as a book, again with the magnetic clasp, but this one folds over the top, so I can do this, and if it opens, it's a little bit harder for me. I had to actually dump that to get it to spill. So that makes me happy, because some of these are horribly messy if they spill. But as you can see, I dumped it out, and there's not much to it. You have a whole mess of cards, and then you have some dice that are mostly just placekeepers for your score, as Hunter will show you. We tend to make it a little more challenging, actually roll the dice instead of setting it up the way they tell you. They tell you to set up with a certain
Don't teach people house rules.
But hey, the house rules are what make this fun for us. We make it a little more challenging because sometimes you'll roll a complete dud, and then how you strategize for the colors and bidding for the different cards is completely different in that game because, browns, they're worthless now. And it's really fun. We have a blast. What are you doing? We're going to play a game now?
Oh, sorry.
But it goes that quickly, and it's got two halves to the game. The first half of the game, you're acquiring these cards for set collection and possible money too. The second half, you're auctioning off trying to auction off the other set of cards and collecting those using said money or dud cards. So it's very interesting. I love the balance. It's just a fun little throwdown. You can take it anywhere. As you saw, it doesn't take up any space on the table. And that's Biblios.
Yeah, like you said, I definitely what I like about this game is that it's 2 games in one, right? The first game, it's kind of it's
just set collection.
Well, you're drawing and you're making choices. Do I keep this or do I give it to my opponent or I put it in an auction pile? And you have to, as they come up, you have to decide that. So you may end up giving your opponent something better than what you end up with. And then once all that's done, then you take that auction pile off, and then you start auctioning off all of the things that you put in that auction pile. So you have some information about what's in that pile, and then you have your opponents have information as well. It's that kind of hidden, I know, part of the information. Yeah. So it's got a lot of different layers to a simple little card game.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of that is what you said too. You're drawing the cards, and you have to decide without seeing all 3 cards. And you have to give one to you, one to your opponent, one to the auction pile. So you're like, okay, I think this one's a horrible card, so I'll put it in the auction pile. And then you get an even worse card. You're like, I'll definitely give it to him. And then you get the worst card, and you have to keep it. Yeah. It's just hilarious. I love how that game goes down. So that is my 52, and that's Biblios.
And that was my 84.
Wow, not bad, not bad. Yeah. See? All right, my 51 for today is one that, again, Hunter and I like to play a lot. It plays really well, multiplayer or 2-player. And it's kind of my Ticket to Ride stock game mashup. And that's Airlines Europe. And it really is that. It's Ticket to Ride, but with airplanes. But it also has a stock element to the game. And I'm not usually a fan of the stock game, as we've discussed before. But this one plays really smoothly. It's really fun to decide when you want to play those cards to get the points for that and to move the planes and to get, your routes built up, but you don't want to build maybe up too much because your opponent may be benefiting from it. And so there's that balance. And the balance is fantastic between 2 and 5 players. We've played it just as much 2-player, if not more, and it's great 5-player. I love this game because a lot of times when you have a game like that, one or the other is going to suffer, the 2-player or the multiplayer. And this one, I don't think the game drags out when you have 5 players either, which is also unusual.
The turns are so fast that you really don't even, the downtime's so small.
It's like Ticket to Ride. You have like a couple little choices and then you move on.
Yep.
So it's the same thing with this. You're like, okay, I draw 1 card and then, next turn. Yep. It really doesn't take long. It's really fun and surprisingly addictive. But this one's not in print anymore, right?
I think you could still find it, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know about that. But yeah, I've seen it at the game store and stuff like that.
Oh, you have? Okay. So, I mean, it's worth looking into. If you like Ticket to Ride or like any of the stock market games, try this one out. Hunt it down. It's worth it.
Yeah, I definitely like this one more than you, and that's probably because, like you said, it's the stock market thing.
Yeah.
It can be kind of, I guess, mathy-ish. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
But it was my number 26.
Oh, wow. Wow, yeah, you do love this game.
Yep.
No wonder I say, hey, let's play this, and he always says yes. So that's why.
Yeah, I really enjoy this one. This one, I would always pick this one over Ticket to Ride, personally.
Oh, not now. We have that deluxe thing.
I would still pick this one over Ticket to Ride, personally.
What? No, that's awesome. I love that. So that's my 51. Dun, dun, dun. We're done with the bottom half of my list, which were all awesome games. The next ones are games that I will probably never refuse ever to play because I love them that much more. So stay tuned for the upper half of my top 100 games of all time. See you later. Bye.